Hello and welcome to Into the Light. I'm your host, Edina Mauvana. Today we have Zahra, and Zahra is a spiritual coach covering how Islam has already taught the concepts of law of attraction and mindset that we can use to overcome our limiting beliefs, heal relationships, and explore various aspects of personal growth. From her own personal journey as a good girl who felt resentful, overworked, to a woman now who holds more wealth, love, and boundaries with greater faith in herself and in Allah. Zahra is a coach who empowers others to realize how Allah is helping them. And she's also the author of the book, Before I Do, 150 Questions Muslims Must Ask Before Marriage. Oh my gosh, awesome, Zahra. Thanks for being here. It's so nice to have you.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. And I love your golden mic.
Oh, thank you. It kind of matches my whole ambiance and my vibe. So thank you. Well, I'm just so happy, happy to have you here. And I've been following you for, quite a while on social media. And it's really interesting because you do amazing work. I'm always listening to your live talks, your motivational tips, and like things that you're saying to help people, I mentioned a little bit, overcome limiting beliefs and work on their mindset issues, right? Is that, that sounds like it's pretty much your main focus. Is that right?
Yes, that is. Like I kind of basically approach everything from the perspective of mindset, that if you can get the foundation of your mindset, it makes it easier to apply and understand Islamic concepts, personal development concepts, spiritual concepts. All of it is better, easier for you to absorb and then actually implement into your life with the right mindset.
Right. Yeah. I heard you the other day, you were talking about how we're programmed, like you were kind of going through a story about like a lot of Muslims and, things that we are growing up with as kids. It's like all about what to think, right? Not how to think. And, that really caught my attention because, I think that it all comes down to how we're programmed and what kind of thought we create in our minds, and that leads to all of us on our healing journey, and also going into becoming trauma aware, right? And what kind of trauma and personal limiting beliefs we might have in the first place. So I love that. And I want to hear a little bit about how you got into this work. Like it sounds like your main focus right now is coaching and helping people. How did you end up starting out on this path?
Yeah, so I'm actually an attorney by training. And, I worked as an attorney. I'd worked in civil rights. I had my own estate planning practice doing Islamic wills and trusts. But something I've always done is just help people, coach people through issues. Like I would be that go-to friend. So this thing is going on. What do you think? And be able to support people in how they're thinking about whatever it is they're thinking about it, and changing how they would be thinking about it so that they could, do whatever needed to be done, or at least manage the situation better. So coaching is something that's just like, I guess I would say is like the gift that I've been given. The gift that I've been given is being able to coach people, support them, shift their mindset in that way. But the story of how it like actually came to be my career is essentially I was moving through life. Like you said in my bio, I was the good girl doing all the things that you were supposed to, like I went to undergrad, then I went to law school, then I got a job, then I got married and we had kids and we're moving, and you're like, hey, we're trying to keep going and growing and get the American dream, and kind of feeling like some resistance. Things are getting harder and harder. Why is it harder to get the house now and get the car and get all the things? And that kind of led me down this path of trying to really understand how come other people are getting what they want and I'm not. Like, what am I doing wrong? I'm smart, I'm hardworking, I'm praying, like I'm a good Muslim. What's going on? And through that, the first real trigger was watching The Secret movie. It was on Netflix. I was out of town one day, so I couldn't watch all the shows that we watched together. And I was just browsing and I landed on The Secret, and I watched this movie that basically, if you're unfamiliar, it basically just explains the law of attraction in this very simple to understand way. And as they're explaining the law of attraction, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, they're just explaining prayer. Law of attraction is ask, believe, receive. That's the way they presented it in this movie. And I've never heard anyone explain prayer, dua in this way, explaining how to ask, explaining how to believe, explaining how to receive. And I was just literally blown away. Muslims were taught about dua in this kind of clear, practical terms, like our prayers would change, like everything would be different. And so that introduction led me down a whole path of like trying to understand more, looking for other, Islamic understandings, looking through other secular understandings, and really coming to the realization that there's so much more to Islam than we, at least for me, for many of us who grew up in the West, grew up going to Sunday school, we just got told a lot of rules about Islam. You have to do this and don't do that. This is haram, this is halal, blah, blah, blah. We just had a whole bunch of rules, but we didn't have that spirit, that essence of like how to connect with God, how to ask for what you want, how to manifest your prayers. We didn't have that. All we had were the rules. And also, when it came to prayers, it was kind of this notion of like, yes, God listens to you, pray, ask for what you want, but probably in Jannah you'll get it. Don't have too much hope that you'll get it now.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like always this like after, okay, this is, we're here to endure this pain and suffering on this life so that we can have this, after like that to me is a very dismal outlook on the whole the whole situation of living life right now. So yeah, I love that. And yeah, the law of attraction, do you talk to Muslims who are like resistant that that's a real thing, or that they think that this is like not aligned with like Muslim values, or is it just now becoming more and more kind of accepted as like the real laws of the universe, would you say?
I would say for me, like when I first started out, I like never mentioned the law of attraction. I never mentioned anything secular. I just took everything that I was learning in secular terms, and I found where it was in Islam, and I just presented the Islamic, like I just presented Islam to people in this way, like, look, Allah says this, Allah says, ask and believe that you can have it. So I just would present dua in this way. Or, Allah says, I am what you think of me. So what you think matters. And that's why your mindset is important. So I would just take the Islamic concept and present it and share it with Muslims in this way that was reflective of what is taught in spiritual secular circles, but never linking the two until very recently. So only very recently have I been more comfortable to be like, okay, look, guys, all the spiritual teachers are teaching the same spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
Tiptoe around it. And so now I'm more open, but in the beginning I was terrified. I was so scared. When I was first learning it myself, I was even scared to just ask my friends. I'm like, I watched this movie. It's called The Secret. Oh my God. And like, is this bad? Is this blasphemy? Is this shirk? And, I had to find other Muslims who were like, oh no, and could point me to Islamic resources like Visionary Muhammad Sharif, and, Islamic meditation practices with Sheikh Mohammed Mendez, and all of these other Muslims who are already doing this work. It's just they're so far and few in between. And many of them are older guys who are not really good on social media. So it's hard to find them. So it's like, okay, I'm going to share this on where I can. And where I can is as a young, Muslim woman. Like I can't go into the mosque and ask to speak about things. Like they're not going to let me. So I can just share it on social media.
Yeah, awesome. And that's how you attract your clients and the women that want to hear from you and do, understand, these concepts. That's amazing. Because I noticed this explosion of more and more on social media. Now it's, picking up with the law of attraction and stuff, and how the universe works, and even concepts like, we are all like energy beings, like we have a certain vibrational frequency and positivity, and all of that stuff increases it. So I mean, I don't know if people go into all of that in your programs, but that's certainly for me, I call it like the spiritually aware community that I see like a lot of information from, where it's like, okay, chakras and alignment, like I started getting that messaging, maybe like a year or two ago. And I started also like realizing that these are very important, interesting concepts in the universe that we could really use and then understand our own like prayer and spiritual practices on a day-to-day basis. Like, why are we, what are we doing when we're praying 5 times a day? Why is that important? Like, why is, I don't know if you think of it that way, but kind of maintaining those elevated, frequencies, that's really something to focus on, even as Muslims, right? So yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
my view on it is that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already told us like that we are spiritual beings. Like these are not like things in dispute, that we are not of this world. Like, that God made us in heaven. We are spirits, we came down to earth. And this is not our real home. This is our temporary home. Our time, all of us will experience death. Our time here will end. And the death is of our physical body. Our body will die.
Right.
Our spirit will continue on. So it's like, it's there clearly in Islam, but at the same time, the implications of what it means to be in truth a spiritual being are not fully expressed, like at Sunday school or in a khutbah or in things like that within the Muslim community. Because what it truly means to be a spiritual being is that, yeah, you're spiritual energy, you are light, you are all of these things that when you hear it from the secular, like, what are they talking about? What is this woo-woo nonsense?
Yeah.
But that is what Allah has said.
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
right.
in general, like the whole of the world, as the world has progressed, as we've gotten further away from like living close to nature, like if we lived in small villages or whatever, and just becoming more and more modern and more materialistic and more, I don't want to say materialistic in like that bad sense of like, oh, I like material things. It's just that we are so focused on, we have lost our connection to the natural elements of the earth. And as we've done that, it has been so damaging to our psyche, to our mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, right? Everything is on the rise. Obesity, diabetes, right? Every health condition is on the rise. Every spiritual, mental malady is on the rise. Depression, anxiety, stress, all of it is on the rise. And it is linked to us just forgetting that we're spiritual beings and being like, well, how can I fortify my house more? That will make me feel more secure. No, you're not. No matter how, if you lived in a padlocked, compound, if you feel insecure, none of that is going to help, because the security you're seeking is only coming from you feeling connected to God, feeling connected to a higher power that gives you safety and security. Otherwise, yeah, all sorts of shenanigans are happening. Bombs are being dropped in other countries. Pandemics are happening, disease, all sorts of things that would make you feel insecure. So I think the world as a whole is like turning towards like, this can't be it. It can't, I'm not, even though people have more money, more access, more food, they're feeling worse off. So this can't be it. It can't be me getting more worldly stuff. I need to connect to something else. And that's the rise I'm seeing in everyone being interested in spirituality.
Everyone. Yeah.
I need to be connected to my spirit, because when I just tried to get the job, the house, the car, the things, I still wasn't happy. And I still was, overweight and unhealthy and all the things.
Yeah. And that is also like, law of attraction is one thing, right? Knowing how to attract your best life, your car, your spouse. But if you really want to, heal and transform and change your life, then you're going to have these, these trauma events and things like that are going to happen unless you've really done the inner work to actually, have those results. So I've also, been learning about how the law of attraction can work in this way. And I love that you talk about the, mind, body, spirit, like everything is interconnected. Mental health issues right now, physical, afflictions. And so would you say that it all comes down to people's kind of like spiritual, like health as well? Is that's a critical piece to like, even healing these other areas of life?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. And what was transformative to me, which is what I bring to people, is that when I changed how I viewed myself, that I no longer, was just thinking of Zahra, oh, I'm, this Black girl in, white America, and I wear hijab and people are against me because I'm Muslim, because I'm Black, right? If I identify as a physical being, then I'm very vulnerable as a woman, as a Black woman, as a Muslim woman, as a hijabi woman. Like, I'm just extremely vulnerable, right? But if I identify as a spiritual being, then I am, invulnerable. Like, I'm a spirit, and you can, do whatever you want to me, because it doesn't matter. My spirit will live on for forever. So that transformation of thinking how I view myself as a flawed physical being to as God's honored spiritual being. And yes, I will make mistakes and I'm not perfect and I have shortcomings and I have flaws and all of these things, but that doesn't detract from the essence of who I am. So that realization, and then realizing who God actually is. And for many Muslims, the notion that we have of God, you know, it kind of has seeped in from Christianity, like the angry old man in the sky.
Right. Guilt, fear, shame.
Yeah. We've got like, you know, angry, like Mufti Sheikh guy, like writing in the book of deeds and judging us. Like we've got this image of God like that's against us. And because you're supposed to pray 5 times a day, you're supposed to be kind to your parents, you're supposed to da-da-da. And all of us are, you know, missing prayers and getting irritated with our parents and not doing all the things that you're supposed to do. So you just feel like, oh my God, this God is, I'm not doing all the things he told me, knowingly not doing it. And then of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff probably that I don't even know about that I'm not doing. So this God is probably not pleased with me. And then here I am trying to like ask God for, well, can I please like make a little bit more money? And can I please, you know, get married? And can I please move and travel abroad and go on this vacation? And you just feel like you can't ask God because you're so bad, or, you know, you're hoping you can get some little scrap, like, please, just a tiny morsel. Okay, I really want a BMW, but just can I have a new car that works, that's not run down, right? Like we just shrink our prayers because we're viewing God as like this harsh character. And when I changed my view, I was like, you know what? I'm going to conceptualize God says, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, like the most, right? The most characterization that he gives of himself is loving, is merciful, is generous, is forgiving. I'm going to view him that way, that he is like, you go girl, I'm on your side, whatever it is, come back to me. I will help you. I will forgive you. Just turn back. And when I started to view God like that, like it became like, okay, God's with me. Like, he's not just, he's like, it's all right. And that transformed my life. And those are the 2 main things that I bring through all of my work, is that change how you see yourself. You are good. You are okay. God's on your side. Now what? Now what do you want to do? Where do you want to go?
Right.
Like, now you can move because you released a whole bunch of pressure. Basically, we're all beating ourselves up that we're human. Like, oh, why am I not a perfect angel? Because you're human.
It's like so much, it's like that guilt, shame programming that's in us. And I love what you're talking about, because it's really like those are all our limiting beliefs. And so, you know, we have to unprogram so much of this, you know, shame and I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, and then it makes you feel too small to even like get yourself out of that mindset cycle, right? And that's where, you know, we notice where, you know, our patterns and our behaviors are being created. And, you know, I love that because, you know, like you said, it's like we're able to go into our trauma healing when we start to realize that this is, you know, keeping us down in that way, right? That's how I think about it. Like, so do you feel like this is a process of everyone who works with you, are they going through like a healing journey where they're kind of going through all of their trauma healing when they're doing their coaching with you, and it's kind of you know, breaking things open in their lives like that?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of healing. You know, I'm reluctant to use the word trauma because I'm not a therapist. And you know, trauma comes in so many different forms. So I'm not a therapist, and I focus on, you know, people come to me with where it is that they want to go. I want to get married. I want to start my business. I want to increase my finances. I want to, you know, change my relationship with food. So they're coming to me with a goal. And then I'm working on, okay, well, what is it that you think and believe about that area right now, right? So I work with them on their mindset. So I find out first, what are your thoughts and beliefs around this? And all of my work is like, you know, the inner work that you're very familiar with, right? Of like turning inward of like, well, what do you really think about this? Why do you think it's not possible? What did you witness in your childhood, or what did people tell you about, you know, you can't get married because you're too educated, or because your family is from this background, or whatever it is, right? So it's shifting their mindset. It's exposing to them first their mindset. Look, this is the way that you're thinking about this. And can't you, once you see it, isn't it interesting that this is what you think? And then once you understand what you think, doesn't make sense that these things have happened given what you think. I think all men are jerks. There's no good guys. No one is coming. Well, isn't it interesting that that's what you think? And then all you've met are jerks. Isn't that interesting?
That's what you're attracting, right?
So, right. So like, without even getting into like law of attraction and all of those things, you just like, whatever you think. And I always turn back to this, the Hadith Qudsi, like where Allah says, I am as my servant expects me. If this is what you expect, Allah responds and gives you what you expect, right? So that's a different way of saying the law of attraction, right?
Right.
It's what you expect. You expect that everyone's a jerk. Well, Allah responds and gives you the jerks. So now, wouldn't it be good to change this thought? And people, yes, of course, I want to change my thought. I want to believe there's a good guy out there. I want to believe there's just one good guy out there for me, right? Okay, fine, let's do it. Now, then I have to walk them through the process of actually changing your thoughts, because unfortunately, it's not as easy as just being like, okay, I no longer think guys are jerks. I think there's great guys available. Some people may be able to do that, but for some people, the thought that guys are jerks has been supported and ingrained, and they've complained with their girlfriend, and their parents are saying it, and they go on Instagram and people are saying it, that it's so stuck in them. It takes a work to shift out of that thought and into a new thought. So they have to think not only that there are great guys, but then they also have to believe there's a great guy who will like them, right? And that they are worthy of a great guy. And so there's several things and several pieces, several thoughts, several beliefs that have to shift. And my process is to guide them through all the thoughts, all the beliefs that needs to change. And wherever, anytime they get stuck, supporting them and, customizing a plan for them, right? And this is another reason why I think coaching is so important, is because, without that personalized touch, you get a lot of generic advice. Do this, technique, or just, or for Islam, right? Just make tasbih, just pray tahajjud, just go make umrah, you can go and do all those things. Those things are great and wonderful to do. But if you don't understand exactly what's going on with the person, they can do all the activities and it not benefit them, because you haven't identified, they're really stuck here because, when the one time they did meet a really great guy, that guy told them, I don't think you're on my level or something. And that thought
crashed them down.
Traumatized them, crashed them down. They can't get past it. And they need to work through that in order for prayer, tahajjud, all those things
to even work. Right. Yeah. That's why it's like you said in the beginning, it's not a measure of how many times you do your rakahs every day and what you're doing. It's like, our spiritual path is more about like, the energy work and how we are in a state of like attraction versus like a state of, like I would say, not very, in alignment, or just kind of like you're just going through the motions, but you're not really getting the real, spiritual process. So I love that you you can help people through. It sounds like in multiple areas of your life. Now I know you wrote the book on 150 questions to ask Muslims before marriage, and one of the things that I've heard is that people have to heal themselves, right, in order to attract that mate that they want, right? So is that something that you also focus on a lot? Is that you have to kind of heal your own soul, before you can attract that ideal mate in this process?
Kind of. I don't like using the word heal.
Okay.
We'll never be healed, right? We're always in a process of healing and growing and evolving. There's always more that we can release, let go, and heal. So I don't believe that people need to be healed in order to be married. I mean, if that was the case, I would not be married.
Right.
But I do believe you have to be in a kind of like minimum state of worthiness, right? A minimum state of feeling that you are worthy of the love that you want. And then also like a minimum state of thinking and belief around the type of love that you want. So again, if you're just thinking that, what's another common one? Man-child, that all men are man-child. And I don't want to have a man-child in my life. I don't need another person to take care of. What are they adding to my life? But your view is that men are man-childs. that will be very hard for you to get married. Because even if a great guy comes to you and he's like, here I am, I'm a strapping, handsome, wonderful, amazing guy, and I'm going to take care of you and be your protector. That woman who believes men, once they get married, become men-child, they expect to be served, they just leave their clothes all around. She has that story. Even if he's there and he comes to her, she's not going to believe it. She's not going to trust it. So she's going to be watching him and looking. And the first time he forgets to put his dishes in the sink. I knew it. I knew this guy's going to be another person that I'm going to have to take care of. And she will find a way to cut him down when he's just a regular, normal human being. And in fact, could be one of the ones who is like very, I don't know what the word is, aware and considerate and take cares of himself. But that belief will prevent her from seeing it. Because another thing I'm sure you know is, right, we see what we believe. So if you believe that, you will see it. Even if it's not really the full truth of this person, you will see the things that confirm, right? They call it confirmation bias, that confirm what you're biased towards.
Yeah.
So the work is to she wants to marry a non-man child. Well, you will never marry them if you believe that all men are man-childs. We have to change that belief first. So there's a minimum change in belief that has to occur there. There's the minimum feeling of worthiness that has to occur there. So that's where I'm guiding people. And once that minimum is hit, then you can connect with the love. And of course, you're going to continue to evolve on your journey and continue to heal, but you do not need to be healed. And you will never be healed, and you will never finish healing as long as you live.
Right. It's like, it's an ongoing process. It's our whole life. But
that's what we're on earth to do. That's like why we're here, is to heal and grow and evolve. So it's never going to end.
Yeah, totally. And also I feel like it, when we're in these patterns, like you were saying, like this, you just think that this man is going to be a man child no matter what. And like, you have to also, kind of forgive yourself and look inwards for your own healing. Like what is creating this belief? Why do I have it? And then, how do you work with people when it's like, why, like getting out of these patterns, like when they're, feeling the same thing, and why would it be different this time around when they're, kind of working with you? Do you get that a lot, where they don't think it's going to change this time around?
Yes. I mean, well, you hit it, right? It is the self-forgiveness.
Yeah.
So that's something that I work with people a lot on. So we know, obviously, in Islam, forgiveness is huge, that Allah is constantly reminding us to turn to Allah and ask for forgiveness, that the Prophet ﷺ asked for forgiveness 100 times a day, all of these things. And what was so powerful for me was, we've all heard that. We know that Allah tells us, ask him for forgiveness, ask him for forgiveness. Okay, so, I do something, I ask God for forgiveness. But then the key piece here is then God says he forgives. He will forgive you if you have sins as much as the foam on the ocean. Like so many beautiful descriptions of how God is so forgiving. So you asked for God for forgiveness and God has forgiven you, but have you forgiven you? And for me, that realization and appreciating how much I had not forgiven myself, how much I still was beating myself up. I'm so bad. I'm not this. I did that. Like, how could I have done that? Just not letting it go. So the point of asking God to forgive you is so that it can be wiped clean, right? So it's wiped clean from your slate. So God's wiping it clean, but then you're still holding on to it. Then you don't make any benefit from this forgiveness. So a lot of the work that I do is on getting people to forgive themselves. Like God's already forgiven you. You've got to let it go now. You've got to stop. It's like if every mistake you made was like a backpack and you're putting it in a rock and you're putting it in this backpack. God's like, okay, cool. The backpack's erased, but you're still carrying it. Like, of course you're going to be burdened and hunched over with this huge backpack full of rocks. You got to let it go.
Because subconsciously you still believe that you're not being, that it's not being forgiven. So you're not forgiving yourself in the first place. It's that pattern.
And forgiveness correlates to worthiness. So if you're holding on to these things, it's still so bad. I was so mean to my friend. I did that thing to my mom. I've missed so many prayers. If you're still holding on to it, then you don't feel worthy. And if you want to, when working on your worthiness, you want to feel more worthy of what you want, you gotta drop the backpack. So a lot of the work, I have different, journaling prompts and exercises and meditations and all of these things to support people to be able to forgive and to know and trust that God has forgiven them.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so when do people come to you usually? Like what type of what kind of people are you working with? Like I know primarily women, right? Are they having certain like obviously finding a partner or getting married, or you also mentioned health? Like what is the main thing that you see the transformation that people go through after they work with you? Like what are they working on most?
So my best clients, I would say, I work with my husband, and I tend
Mhm,
to get a lot of women, and my husband tends to bring in a lot of
mhm.
men.
Yeah.
These are professional, successful, kind of that typical Muslim doctor, lawyer, engineer, like high achieving
Hmm.
Muslim, and they are either have not yet connected with love, so they want to get married and they haven't gotten married yet,
Hmm.
or they have more desires in their career that are not being met. They want to either start their own business or advance higher up or just bring in more money,
Hmm.
not be feeling as burnt out, that they can sense that like they're too attached to their worth and their job, and they want to not feel that attachment. So those tend to be our clients, that they're successful, ambitious. They're already kind of in the spiritual and personal development space, that they've done a lot of, professional development through their jobs, and then reading more books and listening to podcasts on personal development, productivity,
Hmm.
all of those things. And what happens is when they find my content is that faith piece clicks for them. Like, oh,
Mm.
it's never been connected with my faith as a Muslim and in Islam, and how that,
Like they compartmentalize all the areas but not
yeah,
together.
and
Yeah.
how that piece, when it kind of snaps in, is like, this is going to help. So those tend to be my clients, that they're Muslim, they identify as Muslim, they're practicing Muslim, but they haven't really found the professional and personal development resource that taps into that Islamic piece. Because like I explained in the beginning, right, our view of Allah and all of those things that happened from childhood and are prevalent in the Muslim community can prevent a lot of personal and professional development tools and resources from sinking in, if you still view Allah and yourself in these ways that cause that friction, that it won't allow it in. So my content is basically, or my coaching practices basically allow them to make that integration.
Yeah.
And yeah, people have come to me, have been, single for 15 years, single for 15 years. And one of my sessions, I took your session, I have a session called Get Married This Year. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
she was like, I listened to your that one's just a 1 hour coaching session. Listened to your 1 hour coaching session. And she messaged me like 11 months later. She's like, I listened to it 11 months ago, and
Oh.
I am married.
Oh, amazing. Well, great. That's
Powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it takes you on this whole healing journey, and then you kind of, well, you don't like to use the word, but like you kind of
Yes, I
yeah,
use
it
healing
takes
journey, but you don't have to
healing
be
journey.
healed. So you don't have
Yeah,
to be
your
healed.
healing journey. Yeah, so that's wonderful. Well, I mean, I'm so excited for the work you do, and I love that you can work with people in all the areas of their life, whether it's like losing weight, I've heard you talk on that, and fitness stuff. And I think you also are like people can come to you in a non-judgmental way. I know that's very important. People don't want to work with just anyone, but it's like I think you sounds like you are a great coach for just about anyone who wants to kind of heal any issue. So I love that. Do you
Yes.
have do you do one-on-one work primarily, or you also have a group program, anything like that that's coming up? Or
Yeah. So most of my work is on-demand coaching programs that are going to coach you through
Mm,
on your own. And then
okay.
you have like text message connection with me. And then I have my group coaching program, which is a year-long group coaching program where you do
Oh.
work directly with me and my husband. And that program is the one where we interface a lot. I don't take on very many one-on-one clients, maybe like one
Mm,
or two a year, just because I prioritize being able to support more people. And it's easier for me to do that in producing a coaching program that people can guide themselves through, almost all of our coaching programs come with assignments and work. Some of them actually have a workbook that goes along with it. So my approach is to make it as accessible and not dependent on someone working directly with me.
Right.
Of course,
So that,
they can, but like, for example, I guess our health program called Ramadan 365, which is a food freedom program. It transforms your relationship with food so that, we all know what to do with health. We should eat more real foods, not too many of them, move our body. But why can't we do it? So there's a lot of mindset work there on what's preventing you from actually doing it. There's also the spiritual work there, how it connects to your spirit, and how powerful it can be when you get your spirit in connection with your food journey. And then we guide people through a 3-month program to transform their relationship with your food. And that one's based on the hadith that, like, all disease originates from the gut.
Wow. That's a hadith. I didn't realize that's important. Oh my God. I mean, I'm doing, side note, like, so much of my life right now is the gut brain connection. And I didn't realize that there was a hadith that everything comes from the gut. That's fascinating. I just wanted to.
Yeah. And there's another powerful hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that the most hated vessel for someone to fill is the stomach. Yes, is the stomach. And if they must fill it with 1/3 food, 1/3 water, and 1/3 air.
Right.
Well, again, like the prescription and how much we know now about leaving space for air, for diaphragmic breathing. I'm sure you probably do breath work, right? For that type of breathing, how important water is and hydration, and how for health, for weight loss, and for longevity, eating less is key. So the Prophet said 1/3. And, if you, anyways, so this program guides you through again, so many things that and that's the thing about my work. It'll be so many things that you're like, I know that, but it hasn't been integrated or put in a way, or that your mindset wasn't in a place where you could receive it and kind of put it all together. So the health program is a program that you go through with my husband and I together, because week by week we are working with you.
Oh, amazing. Okay, that's awesome.
So that program, we are right there alongside you, and as well as our kind of signature program, which is called Limitless Love, which is the small group coaching program. But right now, my most powerful, potent program for anyone who is interested in getting into this work, or like, I think I need to change my mindset, or like look at things a little bit, is my dua program, which is a manifestation, dua, change your relationship with yourself and God program. The title of it is The Lifestyle of Dua Beyond Just Asking, how to manifest your dreams.
Oh, that is like the law of attraction right there. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's an on-demand, week-long, I guide you through a week. You have lifetime access to it, but it's my newest and most popular and powerful program. So I would love to offer your audience a 2-week free trial of that.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, we'll link it.
Get the first 2 modules for free.
Oh, I love it. You are breaking it open with the law of attraction and bridging, over to all kinds of manifestation and dua and prayer. And I love that too, because even in the law of attraction community, I feel like we need to have this element of God consciousness. Like, that's what I like to think of it. That's why, if you're missing that, or you're deficient in your spiritual accountability and things like that, then, you're definitely, missing some pieces. And so I love that you're bringing it to Muslims, and that it's being, so popular, and everyone is, seeing a lot of results. So I'm just excited to have you on the show. That's great. And so where can people find you on social media? What's the best place if they hear this episode, they want to find out more about you? Where should they go?
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram, and my handle there is @practicalmuslim. And I'm also on LinkedIn. You can also just look up my name, Zahra Aljabi, and all of the things should pop up. But at Practical Muslim on Instagram, and you can email me, zahra@practicalmuslim.com.
Yeah.
And I respond to every email. I respond to every DM. I am not too busy for anyone. So the whole point is to foster community. So please do reach out.
Amazing. Awesome. I love that. And yeah, yeah, super responsive. And it's been great just getting to know you, talking a little bit more. Is there any other last minute, words you'd like to share with our listeners, or anything else you'd like to leave us with? I know that this was a great episode and we covered a lot. So, anything before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll leave everyone with like the main things to know that God is on your side. He created you for greatness. He put gifts and talents and, amazingness within you. And any angst you're feeling is likely the desire for all of that greatness to be expressed. So just know that God is supporting you in all of your dreams and ambitions, that nothing is too big or too far-fetched or too out there, that you're meant to bring that into the world. And if you want support in doing it, work with people like Edina and myself, who are not going to be like, oh, are you sure you can do that? No, we're going to be like, yes, you can. Yes, it's possible. How can I help you? How can I support you? What's in your way? Let's go.
Yes, empowerment team. Here we go. I love that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it. That was great. I love your words of enthusiasm and all the information today. Actually, honestly, I kept getting ideas about things I want to talk to you about more in detail. So I love that we had this episode and hope to have you back in the future, inshallah.
Inshallah, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.